There we go. All right, how's everybody doing today? Imagine not too bad because it's Friday. Hard to be a bad day on Friday. Yeah, good to hear. All right, so we'll be getting started here in just a moment. Just real quick, I wanted to go ahead and share a few links with everybody. Um, so this right here, this link is our Facebook group where everybody can talk about it and where we have the different where we have the different events and stuff like these recurring events. The links will be there, and there's also community chat and all that stuff. Quinn's here. Um, Now this right here is our YouTube channel where we will be uploading all of these videos that we have recorded every week. There's already a few up there, so you can go and check those out if you need to. And then the last link, let me use this real quick, find it. This right here is the snapshot where whenever you follow that link, there will be a snapshot that you can upload to your Go High level, and that will have a few different template workflows that you can try to use, and it'll also upload all the custom values that you need for the webhook to function properly. You just got to fill those out, but we'll be going over that today. So let me go ahead and share my screen here. Okay, so starting from the beginning, we'll just go through real quick on how to set up Capri for the very first time, and then take a look at few of the settings and the actual Go High level side of things. So when you go to systems.capri.us for the first time, you'll see this, and you just log in here. So I'll go ahead and log in. And this will show you all the different sub accounts that you have with your actual agency account. So just go ahead and choose one real quick. Yeah. If you have any questions, just ask them in the chat, and we'll either answer them during the stream. We'll have somebody answering them, or at the end we can one by one take them. But anyway, so
And Seth,
starting
sorry
off,
to interrupt. Sorry, I just want to
yeah, go
say
on.
for today, since we've already done the walkthrough the last couple, I do want to focus just on like this is the portal page. These are the settings. This is like where you find these settings. This is what you can do in the emulator. And then here's the link to the snapshot if you need it. Watch the walkthrough on the snapshot from the previous weeks. So that way we have time to go over some of the newer features today.
Gotcha. Okay. So just super quick, this is the settings page. This is where you choose like the calendar that you want to use. If you want the book, if you are using ChatGPT, you will always want to have control with CRM workflows. But moving on to the AI portion, this is where you have the open AI key. This is where you put your prompt, your model type, temperature, all of this stuff. But as a note, all of these settings in this portal right here is essentially mostly just for the emulator, which will be in this robot looking button over here. And when you are in here, you can actually just completely test the bot from here. So we'll just say, hey, and when it responds, see how it responds. So the function for the emulator, aside from just testing, is you can actually, if say I wanted to have it say something else here, I could click this button right here and say if I wanted it to be like that, I could update it by using this button right here. And then if I wanted it to, in the future, respond like this, I would click this save button right here, this little floppy disk looking thing. And then in the future, this will be used as a reference as to how it should respond. And so this is one of the ways that you can actually train the bot. But aside from those two things, that's pretty much all you need to know. Once again, this is all mostly just for the emulator. Moving on real quick to the actual Go High level side. When you upload the snapshot, it will add a bunch of these custom values like this, or yeah, these custom values like this. I think I might be on the wrong. Yeah, here we go. Get out of here. It'll add a whole bunch of custom values like prompt, knowledge base, OpenAI key, etc. And you just fill these out here. And then it will also add a bunch of workflows that are templates. You can find under automation. And it'll look just like this. And we'll just pull one up real quick. There, your cat. And so just real quick, this is just how this kind of looks. Or actually, let me pull up a better one for like a response. So it'll look like this. Customer replied. This is just like an example thing for if you have some kind of system to determine if they are a paid customer or not. You just add paid tag here. The cat is all up on me. But so once again, this is just a template kind of thing. This is just an example of how you could set up a workflow. The most important thing and the only thing that you technically need to actually have the bot interact and respond is this right here, this webhook step. And when you upload the snapshot, it will actually fill all this out for you, or at least it will like show you an example of how this should look. The URL always has to be the same, and then all of these will by default have like a an actual key that it's referencing in the custom values. But you can, if you want to have a individual prompt for this specific webhook, you can make your own thing here. So you can be like, you are a assistant or, you know, blah, 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 whatever, right? Whatever kind of prompt that you want to have, you can do it here. If you want this webhook to actually outreach, so if you want the bot to respond or to send a message to the contact without them responding first, so like an outreach kind of thing, you would set the task to outreach instead of respond. The knowledge base is the spreadsheet that you're using. You can, in each different webhook, use a different one if you want. For the keys, OpenAI key, you can have your clients use their own OpenAI key instead of everybody use yours if you want to save on costs. Then handoff prompt. This is essentially you setting conditions that you want the bot to actually look out for. And if those conditions are met, it will stop responding and then add a tag called handoff. And that's pretty much, you can, using that tag, you can set up workflows for like automation and stuff like that based off of that tag. But I believe that's pretty much just like a quick overview of everything. But we have some new features that I think Quinn wanted to introduce today. So
Yeah, and just a couple of commonly found bugs, which by the way, how do I sound? Because I'm in a phone booth and it's echoey to me. Does it sound
so
echoey to
it's
you
a little
guys?
echoey, but I mean
Yeah.
it's fine.
Okay. Well, let me know if it's like unmanageable for you guys. But so that was just like a super quick and dirty run through, and I appreciate that. And I know it's probably helped made you feel a little rushed. You and I will work on we should pat down a short version and a long version that we do on these calls. So that way when we do have weeks that there's like feature releases, we're a little bit smoother with it. But if you guys have any questions about it, make sure that you watch the replays from last week. They're posted on that YouTube channel that he listed at the very top of the comments. We'll post the link again in the group once the recording is up. You can always access these. So, and if you need help, of course, we have the Facebook support group or Facebook page. So, Seth, if you don't mind linking that as well, and you can stop sharing your screen now if you don't mind.
Yeah.
So, if you're watching this recording or if you're here live, we have the YouTube channel. We have our Facebook page does connect to our bot, which does have a lot of information on it. And also, if not, we do have a support team now that we're building up slowly but surely. So, we're definitely building out our support resources as fast as we can. And obviously, Seth's doing a great job. But the things that I wanted to focus on today are, like we said, one feature release specifically, and then a couple of updates on existing features, and then just a roadmap update as well for all you guys, so you know kind of where we're at. So first of all, for the handoff prompt, quite a few people have been sharing with us that they've been having some issues with the handoff functionality, with it not quite picking up when it should add the handoff tag. So we changed our backend prompt. And so just so you guys know, we do have some backend functionalities that happen in our app whenever we do these different kind of things. So like for the fallback, for example, that's like the most important thing is like, we don't want your bot just saying like, I don't know what to say right now, right? But we also don't want to just say nothing. And so that's why the fallback functionality was the first one we had to build in, where we had to have a separate brain, a separate prompt, if you want to think about it like that, actually read the conversation retroactively. So after the bot has made its message, we're then taking another prompt to another API call on the same model, but just with a different prompt. And so the task is different. The task in this case is to tell me, is the bot unsure of itself, right? So that's kind of how you have to think about all of these different tasks that we're doing. That's how we build everything, is we have the model doing several tasks at once. And that's also why you sometimes can hit API rate limit errors if your prompt is too long, your spreadsheet is too long, or you have too many, if your handoff prompt is too long, like all of these things can lead to ultimately violating an API rate limit error. And so the way that we manage it is we will never add more than 1,500 tokens, sorry, 1,700 tokens to your prompt specifically, or that's not true. Sometimes it'll be 2,000 if we're doing booking. So you should always assume that your prompt, your main prompt that you put, should never be more than 1,500 tokens. And Seth, if you don't mind linking the tokenizer from OpenAI, just go to Google OpenAI tokenizer. The OpenAI tokenizer, if you paste your prompt into there, will tell you exactly how many tokens GPT thinks it is, like is saying that it is. And so you can know how far you are from your limit. But on our side, we are putting, from your spreadsheet information, if you have the extension, and from the conversation data, so the emulator sessions that you guys save, if you have those filled out, we stop, like we don't go more than 2,000 tokens of that data. If you don't have the extension for the spreadsheet, we're loading the full spreadsheet all at once. So if we load the full spreadsheet all at once and it's like 60 rows or something, then we're violating API rate limit errors, because now that's like, that could be like 3,000 tokens on its own. And then we add another 1,000 for your prompt or something like that. Now we're past our limit. The good thing is like your output for the bot only really needs to be at most 200 tokens, right? 200 tokens out of 4,300, which you can have in the full completion and prompt pair. So if you only need your bot to create 200 tokens, we can put like almost 4,000 in the prompt. That is previous examples of conversations, spreadsheet, data, prompt, your actual prompt, all that kind of stuff. So why am I going over all this? Because the feature that we're going to be talking about today is custom tags. So today we have the ability now to where you can actually describe when a certain tag should be added. And so Seth, make sure you enable screen sharing. All you got to do is click on the little shield in the bottom left, or in the bottom of your thing, and then just it should say share screen. You just got the little check mark next to it.
Yeah, it should be automatically.
Oh yeah, that's right. Okay, cool. So basically what we've done now is we showed you last week, whenever you have a workflow that your contact gets added to, you can have a condition here that says, so this is like the tag does not include testing. So this is just for my own testing purposes. But then from there, I want to also check, okay, do they have a candidate tag? And so for those of you who don't know, in case you forgot, our parent company, DaaS, Developers as a Service, we do recruiting for software developers. So we've helped startups find software developers that will help them build their stuff. So the two sides of our business is applicants, right, that need to apply for a recruiting or for a job, and then companies that are hiring for a candidate, or hiring for an applicant. So we have two types of prompts, two types of conversations going on, but they're kind of funneling into the same Facebook page, which is why I need to set this up, because we only have one Facebook page. We don't have a Facebook page for developers and a Facebook page for companies. It's the same one, DaaS, right? So what we did in this webhook says tag recruiting. So what that means to me is the contact has established that they are interested in hiring a developer. And it's very, very simple, but that's all it really needs to be. Let me see if I can pull up a new note real quick. Sorry. So you guys can see this a little bit easier. So this is teleprompt. So the key is tag name, and the value is prompt describing when the tag should be added. So for us, yeah, we want that, right? So the tag is tag recruiting, and the value is this: contact is established that they're interested in hiring a developer. So because we have that, when I said something along the lines of I'm interested in hiring a developer, I got two things. One, I got a Facebook request or a Facebook message in response, which I did all this in testing, so you won't see my messages. I did it all on Postman because I had it all in the API. But you can see it responded saying, absolutely, we have a full in-house recruiting team as well as the ability to manage a full project from start to finish. What's the best email for me to send some information over? You can see I have the recruiting tag right here. So that's basically what will happen. The reason I was bringing up like prompt limit and API rate limit errors is because this is super exciting. And a lot of you are going to get really crazy with this and you're going to put like 10 tags and you're going to want to classify, based off of like 10 different situations that might go on. You have to do it in a cascading way. If you have like an order in which you want to identify certain parts of the conversation, you can't just have all tags on every single API call, especially if you have 5 to 10 of them, because as the conversation gets longer, you're going to hit a rate limit error because you're making every single one of those checks for the handoff check, the fallback check, the booking check. If your booking is your goal, we're doing a huge calendar prompt check. And then now all 5 to 10 tags, it's not even that it's necessarily very long. It's just if you're doing several calls back to back to back, there's a requests per minute that you're going to violate as you get more and more contacts that go through. And so we are definitely working on our side to batch these so that you guys can put as many as you want and it won't really matter. The only kind of trick with that is that we have to wait for the rate limit to kind of reset. And so we either have to put a delay on adding the tag for this particular contact, or we have to put a delay on one of your other contacts that responded and they got to wait until this other contact's requests are all done. So somewhere there's got to be a delay. There's got to be somebody's going to have to wait a little bit longer. I think what we're going to do is probably make the tags take a little bit longer. That might be a little bit annoying, but I would say you guys can compensate for it by putting a delay after your reply. So like and this is not applicable yet. You don't have to do this just yet. We actually don't know how many tags in a request are going to violate a rate limit error, but you'll find out pretty quickly when I show you the next feature. And a very easy way to find that out is this next feature. But I just want to let you all know that is totally possible now. And I'm sure a lot of you guys are going to have a lot of fun with that. So let me know, how that goes for you guys and test it out, stuff like that. And the feature that I was talking about is like, if you do run into rate limit errors and you have issues, where you should be able to see it is if you click on you go to the contact that you're testing with here, you go to notes. Now the errors show up in the notes section of the contact. So for me, I had a syntax issue causing me to have an incorrect API key provided. And so now this is all white label. None of it's going to say anything about Capri or high level or anything like that. It's only going to say the error that we got from OpenAI, and then it'll probably link. And so this will either usually be your API key is wrong, or your prompt is too long, or you hit a rate limit error, which would be a 429, I would say. you made too many requests in a certain amount of time, or if it's OpenAI server error, then which is a thing that happens. It's been less lately, so hopefully they're really scaling their stuff up, but it still does occasionally happen that their API goes down. So yeah, those are the first two features that I want to make sure everybody understands. And I'm really excited about the tag feature. I know a lot of you guys have been asking about that and been waiting on that to be done. The next thing that I want to talk about is the booking functionality, which before I go on, I'm going to just see if I can get caught up on some questions here. I think Seth's good. Are there any questions that
No, we're all
need
caught
my
up.
attention? Good. All right. Awesome, guys. It looks like we got some positive feedback on that feature too, which is awesome. I'm glad you guys like it. It does give you a lot of functionality for sure. So okay, cool. So the next thing that we've been working our asses off on is the booking calendar integration, the booking functionality. So that's obviously one of the biggest functionalities that people want to be able to have. So where we have gotten to is that we have improved its ability to understand relevant days not relevant, relative days and times. So the issue before is that, like, if I said tomorrow, it would have a difficult time understanding that tomorrow is Saturday, May 6th. Or if I said next week, it was just adding 7 days from today and was just like offering times that were totally irrelevant to what was going on. Yeah, Jeremiah is being a silly robot. That's right. So we've been working really hard to give it a bunch more of examples and fine tune that prompt to be better. And I think we've gotten to a point that it's doing pretty decent right now. The problem is it's still kind of leaning a little too hard on our supplied examples. And so like, it's not thinking independently enough about what the time range should be. So let's just say it's really good at knowing tomorrow. If you say next week, it's really good at knowing that. If you say this week, it knows what the week is, like what day it is today, or what the upcoming week is. If you want it to look, if you were to say like one issue, a unique case, for example, that we ran into after this change today was Seth said, what do you have next Thursday? And it said, we don't have any times available next Thursday, even though there are times available on that Thursday, but it's because the time range that it's looking in didn't extend to next Thursday. It only went from today to next like Tuesday, I think. It's like 96 hours. And a lot of that has to do with how we're kind of prompting it on our side to give us those dates. And so those are just kind of some fine-tuned bugs that we're trying to work out to make sure that we double check it. But every single check that we add and every kind of like improvement that we add makes the prompt a little longer. It makes us get close to that token rate limit a little bit faster. And that's kind of the issue we got to worry about here is like, if one contact is taking thousands of tokens for a single request, it could be, it could be hundreds of thousands of tokens if you end up having dozens of contacts having multiple messages all at once. And you'll just hit those rate limit errors. And that's where you start losing opportunities. And that's what we want to avoid. And so every prompt and task that we add that makes it a little bit better also gets us closer to the rate limit area that OpenAI allows. And so we have to kind of carefully balance the functionality that we add. Because like one thing I also want to do is like a knowledge check where it's like, hey, double check the answer that it just gave to this question against the spreadsheet. Because like right now, the task we give it is give us the answer, but then we don't say, okay, now read the spreadsheet and justify your answer. But that's something we can do. The problem is it takes up another 500 to 1,000 tokens, depending on how long the conversation is and how many questions and answers are in your spreadsheet. And so that's kind of where our challenge is. So we're overcoming that in a lot of ways. We're working on how we can better improve the prompt, how we can better manipulate the API call to make it use less tokens to achieve the same quality and the same, utility. We're hiring as we go to have more support. I saw somebody mention multiple questions or multiple calls a week. We're hoping to be able to do multiple calls a week soon to be able to help with adoption and stuff like that. But the feedback we've gotten from you guys has been really nice. It's been awesome. We love getting the open, honest feedback, and we love the challenge of meeting the demand of all you guys. So it's definitely been a fun journey so far. So on the calendar functionality itself, if you don't want it actually reading the calendar, which some people have said they would prefer it to just hand a link. A link you can be trained in the spreadsheet and the emulator. So when the best way to do it is to have the bot ask for a day first. Like that's what we've always seen work best, is like, because for us, it was always like, okay, I want to book an appointment. And then it would be like, great, what's your email? And it's like, no, that's not what I want you to do. I want you to ask for a day. So that way, when they say a day, it can read the calendar. So getting the bot to in the emulator, basically training it so that when the contact says it's okay for them to book an appointment, which we want to offer consent first. That's usually kind of, this is how you're going to see the most success with the calendar functionality specifically, and having the AI have the best understanding of what is available on the calendar, is if you follow the order of get consent to book first. Because remember, I talked about this in the very first one, and I'll talk about it again. When they trained ChatGPT and GPT-3 and GPT-4, they did it on articles, right? When they taught it to read English and understand how people speak, they taught it on articles, and articles go in a specific order, right? They go from title to introduction to, like first paragraph, and like Wikipedia and like Reddit and like all these things. That's how they're all kind of structured. And so the same thing carries over into your prompt. Whenever you prompt it to do things, it usually responds better to a more like structured story. And so the structured story of telling an appointment, of setting an appointment, is they gave consent, right? Because the bot said something along the lines of, I can get you scheduled for your first appointment. Does that sound okay? Like, can I go ahead and get you scheduled? Let's go ahead and get you scheduled. Sound good? Something along those lines shows consent on behalf of the contact that they're ready to book an appointment. The next step is then, great, what day works best for you? Or you can say, does this week or next week work better? Or, are you looking, what works best for you in the next week? But somewhere in your training of the bot and the bot's messages when discussing availability, it should establish the time range so that the contact responds with that time range. And this is exactly how we used to do it with Dialogflow. It's just that with Dialogflow, we could actually hard code it, right? So we could actually hard code what the question was going to be in response to the message that the contact sent. But with ChatGPT, we have to train it, we have to influence it through our prompt and through our emulator sessions. And so in the emulator sessions, you can have it fine-tuned, like you can train it so that whenever it says something along the lines of, okay, I'm ready to sign up, or I'm ready to do this or that or the other, it says, great, what day works best for you? Or, what time do you have this week? Or how can I help? Like just something along the lines of that gets the contact to talk about the availability. And then from that point, it should be easier for the calendar prompt that we've built to actually look at the timestamps and understand when it should be reading the calendar and offering availability, stuff like that. So that's just a little bit of prompt design trick and emulator session training trick and stuff like that. And again, don't try to train it from your spreadsheet. We're seeing more and more that it does the best if you give it factual questions and answers. So like I said, we got Wade here. Wade's a realtor. So if I were to ask Wade, how much do you charge for your closing costs or something like that, that's probably a very factual question that, has a very factual answer, right? But if it's something along the lines of like, can you help me look at houses in this area? That is not necessarily a factual question about your services so much as it is like, can you help me do this? Like it's a general, like, would you be willing to do this with me? And so that would be more so done in the emulator, because you'd be basically saying like, yeah, of course I can help you. What day works best for you? It's just, you don't want the answers of like what day works best for you. Like you don't want the bot in the spreadsheet. You don't want the answers in the spreadsheet to lead to the next question that you're trying to ask. Let's just put it that way. The answers in the spreadsheet should be definitive. That's the best way that you're going to be able to differentiate between what it should listen to more. Should it listen to the spreadsheet more, or should it listen to the emulator sessions more? it's always going to listen to the spreadsheet more by default. But if you want it to have less of an impact on which way it leads the conversation, then you need to make it definitive answers only. So not answer and then the follow-up question, right? Which is a very common thing to do in a sales conversation, right? In a sales conversation, you want to answer their question and then you want to move on to the next stage in your conversation, which is what day works best for you, or let's go ahead and get you set up, or anything like that. And so to get the contact to the next point of the conversation, you don't want that to be in the spreadsheet. You want that to be in the emulator specifically, because the spreadsheet is being referenced as a knowledge base. So on our side, when we're feeding in the top questions and answers from the spreadsheet, we're feeding it in with the reference of, hey, this is a knowledge base. Use this to answer any questions the contact may have. And then it just lists all of your questions and answers from your spreadsheet. And we're also putting in the prompt, we're also saying, here's some previous conversations that have happened so that you can learn about how they work. So all of that's going in the prompt. And so if you want it to learn how to talk and drive the conversation, that's what you would put in the emulator. The emulator helps you drive the conversation and guide it. And this can also be for, like, if you want to do screening questions, if you want to ask questions in a specific order, and you want to respond to their answers depending on what they say, that's where the emulator would also provide more utility. And you may have to do it several times. Remember that we can only fit a couple of conversations in to the prompt versus the questions and answers that we can fit in. We can fit in way more because they're shorter, but conversations are a lot longer. So we can only fit in a couple of conversations. So when you train your conversations, like I only train with like 1 or 2 like conversation turns in the sessions that I train. Same thing with set. Like when we train our support bot, we don't build out a super long script unless it's a complicated topic. We have like a few of those, like 3 or 4 that are just really fully built out conversations that show the whole path. But most of the things that we train into the emulator are like 1 or 2. Like I say something, the bot responds, great, let's save it. That looks good. I say something, the bot says something, I say something else, the bot says something, great, let's save it. Always save it with the bot being the last conversation too, because obviously that's much more useful. But definitely use the emulator. I think a lot of people are kind of underutilizing it, especially for the training functionality. And I actually just talked to somebody yesterday who didn't even know. They didn't even, I mean, they're an enterprise user and they have, they already rolled it out like 15 clients. They didn't even know that you could train on the emulator and it would affect the performance of the bot in that account. They thought it was just for testing your prompt and stuff like that. So that's why we built the emulator, was so that you could have an easier training, an easier time training, and give it better experience directed from there. And in case you guys don't know, if you're on the enterprise plan, you do have the ability to iframe the emulator with a token, so that way it all works exactly as it does in your portal, except it's all white labeled. So nothing about it says Capri, nothing says high level. It all is just fully, it just looks as if it came from you. So don't forget about that. So, all right, so that's the tag functionality. The handoff functionality has also been changed. So we improved the handoff functionality to where it used to be a list of semicolon separated conditions. Now it's just a description. It's just the contact has described that they're interested in this, that, or the other, or they've decided that they want to do this and they decided this. Like, just describe it as if you would describe it to ChatGPT, which again, just more clarity. The prompt that you're giving, that we're basically giving on the back end, is the business you work for has described a handoff condition as the following, and then we're giving it your prompt, and then we're saying, is this conversation in a handoff condition, yes or no? And then we feed it the whole conversation, and that's it. So that's the question that we're basically asking it, is based off of your description with this conversation, are we in a handoff? Is like, should this be handed off to a human, yes or no? So just make sure that when you're describing your handoff prompt, that's how you're describing it. And then also disqualify works the same way. I haven't talked about it too much, but if you give a disqualify prompt, which all of this, of course, was before the custom tag functionality, before the custom tag, like now the custom tag functionality, you can add whatever you want with any prompt you want, doesn't matter. But the disqualify check and the handoff check are native. And so all you have to do is put handoff or disqualify and then describe the prompt of when somebody should be disqualified or when somebody should be handed off. And from that point, it'll just automatically add that tag. The only thing you got to remember again for the syntax, in case you guys weren't here, for the syntax of what the actual tag thing needs to look like is just this right here. So tag, and then it's full colon, and then the name of the tag that you want to add. And then this is just the prompt that describes what the tag is that you're trying to add. So, so yeah, that's mostly it for the feature updates. And then just one quick thing I wanted to cover really because it's very random. But somebody was trying to use the chat widget replies as the trigger for Capri. So having their workflow fire off of a chat widget. And it brought up a really unique edge case that we didn't expect. But basically, if you don't include a channel in your webhook step, it's gonna try to like find the channel automatically, and we don't have the chat widget map because it's not a two-way channel. It's only a one-way channel, so we can't return messages through the chat widget. So if you're using the native Go High Level chat widget, make sure you can still trigger off of what it says in the reply. Like you can still trigger off of the chat widget message itself, but the reply channel has to be SMS, and it's going to reply as if they sent it in an SMS message. So just make sure in your prompt you describe that the contact has sent a message through the website and you are following up. And it might be better to do an outreach task for that first instead of a respond task. It may be, actually ignore that. Still use a respond task or a custom task, but just in your prompt, make sure you put that it came in through the website and you're sending, this is the first outreach message that you're sending to that person, and just kind of adjust your prompt accordingly. And it should be able to respond to whatever they say. Okay, I think I got some messages to get through. Looks like I got 25 unread chats. What do we want to get to first?
So the only one that I did not answer is DeMarcus was talking about the spreadsheet carrying across sub accounts. You can unmute and ask him yourself, DeMarcus, if you're able to.
Yeah, no worries. Hey, yeah, Quentin. So when we were testing bringing on new sub accounts, it appeared that the spreadsheet that was created, for example, spreadsheet or sub account A, appeared to show up in sub account B. Is that typical, or can we just delete that spreadsheet in sub account B and it stick in sub account A? I just wasn't sure about that.
So when you say it exists in one, so are you talking about in high level or in the portal?
In the portal.
In the portal, okay. So did you import the settings from the previous account? Because I think that carries over the spreadsheet.
Import the settings. No, I didn't do any imports. I just went through the process of creating another user on my enterprise account.
Okay, so like for example here, can you see my screen?
Yes.
Okay, so if I go here and I log into my main account, so I'll go to like my recruiting account here, for example. So in the settings here, in this AI tab, I have this spreadsheet link. And you're saying that if I go and I add a new account, so I click choose account, And then this is just any of these random accounts I've never added before. So say auto repair 28. So it's, see how it says, would you like to import the most recent account settings from set test? You've never seen this before?
Oh, I see. So if I press cancel, then it won't port over, right?
It shouldn't, and I'm actually not 100% positive that it brings over, it shouldn't bring over the spreadsheet either. But
Yeah,
if you're
in
seeing,
our case, it did. I can shoot a Loom over to you guys if that helps.
yeah, just send a Loom to the Facebook support page for sure. And then, I mean, if you have something here, you should be able to just delete it, like remove it here. And also, we don't include that automatically in the webhook step. Like your knowledge base, your knowledge parameter here, this has to be included by you in the webhook step for us to include the knowledge at all, because this only impacts the emulator.
Gotcha. I did
So
not know that.
yeah. So if you want the knowledge base to be included in the high level actions, like in the webhook, you do have to include it here in the custom data parameter. This is for the spread. This is for the emulator. But if you're having it show up here and you don't want it there, you should be able to just delete it. And if not, highlight the whole thing and maybe put a space and then click save, and that should help. Otherwise, let me know. But I think this is one of the fields you should be able to just delete, or if not, literally just take this example sheet here, make a copy of this, and just literally have this be your spreadsheet for now. So like just take this copy of this template that just has this hello and this how are you thing. This should be your only spreadsheet, and then just put it here in that URL, and it'll let you overwrite the existing spreadsheet with your new URL. I think we might have a small front end bug that doesn't let you save an empty setting if you already have one there. I think we got to update that.
Gotcha. And then we would just put the specific for the sub account, their knowledge base inside of the GHL webhook,
Right.
correct?
Yeah,
Got it.
exactly. And then just remember the whole, extension, which I'll do a walkthrough again, just real quick for everybody. I know most of you probably seen this, but the spreadsheet extension one, if you have an enterprise plan, you should already have it added. If you want just the extension, when you come here to your knowledge tab, you'll see a button that says like learn more about this, and it has a video that walks through what this is. But basically, if your spreadsheet gets longer than about 30 rows, we've seen that that's usually too long. It can be shorter than that. Like it can get too long before that if your questions and answers are super long. So if you have like really, really long questions and answers that have a lot of words and tokens in each cell, it can violate your prompt limits and cause you to need this extension faster. But usually it's about 30 rows for most people. And all it is just once you sign up for it, you get a token here that you take this token, and in your sheet under the extensions, you click on the extensions, you click on app scripts. And you might get an error. And if that happens, just don't be on a live Zoom call. But all you got to do, this one should let me do it. So this is our spreadsheet. And so I'm going to click extensions once it loads, and an app script. Come on now. There we go. And you'll get taken to a page like this. All you got to do is just copy this whole code from, click on watch the how to. And then in this video, in the description down here, there's a GitHub link. You just click on that sucker. Takes you right here. Click on script.js. Copy and paste this whole thing. And what you replace with your token includes the caret. So you must make sure that you do not have the caret, the little caret less than equals or greater than the sign on either side. And you must have this little quote on either side. So this is all JavaScript. JavaScript has syntax rules, which means it has to be written a certain way. This is a string because it has two literals. So I know that's annoying and I'm sorry. I wish it wasn't that way, but it's just something we have to do. So just replace this whole thing and put the token inside of here. You find your token again, here on the Capri token in the little knowledge tab here. You'll click to reveal it, copy it, and then you'll put that sucker in here in your extension. And then what you'll do is you'll click save, and then you will go to, you should be able to just do a deployment, which I don't know why. It's not showing me the button here, maybe because I'm signing the wrong user. Yeah, so there will be a little button up here that says deploy. You'll click on that, new deployment. Describe it however you want. None of this matters really because it's invoked by the sheet itself. So just make sure you just have all of this here. Just the type does need to be web app. So you'll click on the settings and you'll click web app. And this is, again, all in this GitHub. We have a whole walkthrough showing every single step of the way on how to do all of this. But you'll also need to just put triggers here. Like after you do that deployment, do the deployment, come here to triggers, and then you'll add a trigger that basically updates the sheet whenever there is an edit. So every time an edit happens, you click that and then you click save, and then that trigger will actually update the database with your with the newest information every time you add a new row. My pop-up blocker, I'll deal with it. If this happens, check your pop-up blocker settings, make sure you're in the right account. It's usually going to be some type of error with your permissions, or your Chrome is out of date. For example, my Chrome's out of date, so that's probably the issue. If this happens, by the way, just for the recording, for anybody that's wondering, and you're not able to get the script to add a trigger properly like this, and you think your spreadsheet isn't staying up to date, at any point, you can just take this spreadsheet and you can come here to your knowledge base and you can just delete it. You can delete the one that you're trying to reload and then add it again here, give it a couple minutes for the database to update, and then it'll refresh that spreadsheet in our database. As long as the ID didn't change, like you didn't create a whole new URL, then it should be fine. But yeah, and again, ideally now your spreadsheet won't be long enough that you need the extension. If you have more than 30 FAQs, make sure you're not repeating yourself a bunch of times, and you're not like asking the same question over and over again with the same answers, because you'll overfit your model and you'll make it always want to say that no matter what the context said. It'll over reference the answers that you give it. So the ideal length, especially for like a local business, like for an auto repair shop, I think I made a template, and it was like, yeah. So this was it. This was my whole spreadsheet for auto repair, and it's doing pretty. I mean, it did pretty good. I had to put a lot of emulator sessions in for sure, like probably 30 or 40 emulator sessions, but it got pretty good. And this is a template that I can use. I don't have to, make a new spreadsheet for every single client that I use. And if you guys want to see what the onboarding flow can look like, go watch last week's recording. We did a full onboarding of what that can look like. And as I hire more people, I'm going to have them help me create more support resources like onboarding SOPs that help you guys onboard your clients faster. And we are going to open up our API soon, probably next month. So probably not this month, but probably next month, we are going to document and open up our API so you can actually, one, add more integrations, two, be able to add new accounts through our API as it becomes possible. We still have to do the OAuth thing, unfortunately, but if you do the OAuth once and then never go into it again, I think that's still an improvement over having to log in now and import settings and all that good stuff. So, as we grow, we're going to provide more enterprise solutions as we can. But the biggest thing is we definitely want to be able to get into more platforms, because I know there's a lot of chat platforms that people want us to be able to get into that we're not into currently. And that's probably, one of our top priorities is getting into more communication platforms for sure. So, because I think we hit it pretty good with the emulator thing. That's something I've always wanted to do. I've always wanted to have that kind of training platform. and just have never really gotten a chance to build something like that. And so now that we got this chance, I'm super excited. So cool. We've got about 7 minutes left. We want to get into any more questions that people didn't get to ask.
I haven't seen any more questions that I haven't managed to ask, but if anybody has anything, then now's the time.
Yeah, look, yeah, Sam just put Q. That's all I put. What's up, Sam?
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Thank you, Quentin, by the way, for answering those questions in the group. I know I've been bombing you there, but
Yeah, no problem.
so yeah, one problem that I ran into, it's kind of why I wanted to come on this call, is I onboarded a bunch of agents and I did it with like the workflows and everything else, but it wouldn't automatically work already. And then I would go into Capri AI, put in the settings there for each location, and it did work. So I don't think I set up the workflow correctly, because I think
So
like you just need in a workflow, right, for it to make it work.
right, no, but you
go into
do.
Capri AI.
Yeah, you do have to log into Capri at least once for every account that you want to use to go through that OAuth flow. So that way we can generate a token for that account. And then other than that, if you've logged in at least once through there, it should just work with the workflow settings. Like once you import the workflow and all the custom values are filled out, a lot of people don't fill out all the custom values on every single, like automatically, because they come empty. So like when you create a brand new account with the snapshot, the account comes with all the custom values, but the values aren't actually filled. And so you have to fill them in there, or you have to fill them in the portal.
Gotcha. So basically what I have to do is go to Capri AI, set it up there for that specific location, then import the snapshot, workflow, fill out the custom values, and then
Yeah,
good to go.
That'll definitely give you the highest success rate for sure. If you just do both for every single client, you'll definitely, you should never have any connection issues for sure.
Gotcha. It's just that I'm gonna roll this out for 200 clients, and I just want to.
I know, man. Yeah, we're hiring as fast as we can so we can offer some enterprise solutions where we can do a lot of the onboarding for you. But yeah, right now, man, we just don't have the support for that. But I mean, you can still bring them on. Like the app will hold up. It's just the onboarding is definitely not ideal for that many people at once.
Yeah, absolutely. And then you mentioned, just like 2 more questions real quick, about the knowledge base. You set like the perfect length, like it can hold 30 Q&As, you said, or give or take?
Yeah, it should be about 30. Yeah, no, it should be about 30. 30 is about, that's like the top limit. That's like the most I would probably put. And then if your prompt is long, you may still also go over the limit. So it's best to, I mean, obviously I'm biased, but it's usually best to have the extension. But like I just showed, I only have like 6 rows on my spreadsheet, and everything else is through the emulator, because the emulator sessions, there's no limit on how many memories you can give it. So
oh, okay, gotcha. So basically train more with the emulator.
Yeah. Try to train it more with the emulator as much as you can. It's just the spreadsheet should be for definitive answers across that are going to be shared across all of your locations. Like all of your clients are going to have the exact same questions and answers, and they in a way that it can be templated into a custom value. So that way you don't have to recreate a new spreadsheet for every single thing.
Gotcha. And I saw also that you had multiple knowledge bases within the settings of Capri AI. When you add them in there, do you still have to add them per robot, or it's automatically recognized for like all locations?
Say that again. I'm sorry, I was reading something and I got distracted. Say that again. I'm gonna close the chat.
No worries. So in the Capri AI settings, you could add in like multiple knowledge bases. Would that kind of like work as like a legacy setting, where it would just like spread it over all accounts, so you don't even have to input it anymore per robot? Or
no, so the knowledge, because it's an optional field, it has to be included in your webhook. And so that's why, like in the template, it's a custom value, is because we assume every new client that you onboard is going to get their own spreadsheet. Because if you try to use one spreadsheet URL across everybody, you're going to hit API limit errors with Google Sheets specifically. Like you're going to be trying to have the bot read it too many times per minute. And so that's why you can create a duplicate sheet that is the same 5 or 6 questions across every client. And then if you only do 5 or 6, you don't even need the extension. You don't even have to like load them into the knowledge portal and stuff. You can just give them the raw spreadsheet. And then you can also, I don't know if you guys know this, but you can import sessions as well. So like you can also, if I go here to, this is sub 28 now. If I go here to the bot, oh, I didn't put all my stuff. Let me go to when I finished. If I go to like, I think 20 has it all filled out. So if this is like a newer account and I don't have quite as many sessions in here, if I go to the emulator and click on that, I can go here. And now I can import sessions from another sub account that I've done all the emulator training on. So if I have a lot of like common training that I want to do in one account, then I can import all of that here. So like all these other auto repair accounts have sessions that I can pull over into here. And then you can also give it to your client to allow them to continue fine tuning it from there if they want.
Touching that, is there like a master emulator that can push it out to all sub accounts or no?
Yeah, so if you use the custom menu item, it acts kind of like that. So it's like if you put a custom menu link here, I don't know if you've seen this, but if you have the enterprise plan, you can put this,
Yeah,
you
no,
can put this, yeah. So you can put this and then this, every location, if you put on show to all accounts, it'll show to all of the sub accounts that are on your agency. And it'll be unique to every sub account because it'll have the location ID and the URL. But it'll have your token, so it'll know the agency that it belongs to.
Gotcha, but that still goes per location. There's not like one emulator that like kind of like serves for all of them, for example. Like that's
no.
But okay.
Yeah, no, the best way to do that really is just to test in one like demo account that you have that you kind of do all of your agency testing in, and then in the sub accounts you can import. You should be able to import sessions from other accounts. Yeah.
But there's
And
no
they can't do no. We don't have the ability to push it yet, but that's also on the roadmap where you can decide like, hey, I want to push. We just don't know if we should do, because like right now it imports all of the sessions from there. What we want to be able to do is have like on the list here. I just don't know if we should have, what we really need is we need a check mark right here. And then once you check it, you can push it and you can choose which account you want to push it to, or you can say push to all accounts. And then, or you can have like a check mark that is all of this. So yeah, that's coming too, but we started with import capabilities.
Gotcha. And then a few like really quickly. Let's see. So do you guys recommend just use ChatGPT or DaVinci, the DaVinci version? Which one is the best?
Seth, can you answer? I got a call real quick.
So DaVinci is technically more robust. But it's like or I say it's more robust. It's like more, it's like the more
older.
powerful one.
It's just older. It's actually just older. So DaVinci,
okay.
yeah, sorry. So DaVinci is GPT-3. Chat GPT is 3.5 turbo. So it's just newer.
Gotcha.
And it's much like 3.5 turbo is much cheaper. It's like 90% cheaper. So DaVinci is just older. It's the older version. It's better for like classification tasks and long form content. It usually does a little bit better through DaVinci, but for chat type of stuff like this and most things, ChatGPT does better.
What he said.
Gotcha. Okay, cool. And they also, I was on the waiting list for GPT-4 API access, and they just gave it to me. Is that coming on soon as well, or?
Whenever they like actually make that available to the general public, we'll actually be able to integrate that. But as of right now, since it's only to like a select few people, we haven't pushed out integration yet.
Gotcha. Awesome. Cool stuff. Well, you guys are doing good, guys. Thank you so much. Oh, and by the way, the calendar booking thing, it's coming out soon as well, right? You guys, I'm so stoked for that. That's why I keep asking about it.
Yeah, so when this recording launches, you'll be able to see at the beginning, we were talking a little bit more about it. So we improved it now so it can read the calendar a little bit better. So it knows what tomorrow is, it knows what next week is, what this week is. So it can read the calendar and provide available times. It just doesn't put it into the actual calendar through the API yet. But if you use the handoff functionality, you can describe when that handoff tag should be added. And then you can have a person come in and finish the booking. So in the handoff prompt, you can just say the contact has established a day and time that they're available for a meeting. And then once that happens, it'll add the handoff tag, and you can do any notification you want, and it won't continue responding.
Gotcha. Okay. Okay. No, that makes sense then. And what that feature is that feature ever would that ever come out where it actually goes in and actually books it in high level,
Yeah.
or?
Yeah, I mean, hopefully this month. Yeah, hopefully the end of this month we'll have it ready.
Okay.
It's just the thing right now is it's a little too overzealous, so it wants to book it too quickly. And so that causes confusion because somebody will say a time and then it'll just be like, great, I've got you booked for tomorrow at that time. See you soon. You're like, what? I didn't say anything about that. So we're just fine tuning it with more examples to get it to understand a little bit better how we want it to work. And then once we're comfortable with it, working that well, then we'll definitely launch it out to everybody.
Gotcha. And what do I have to mention? Because I mentioned in the prompt, like, hey, trying to give some examples for times. Sometimes it does it, sometimes it does not. You guys have any tips on giving that in the prompt? Like, hey, you have to say like, hey, read the calendar and give like 3 examples, or how would you guys?
Yeah, in the emulator, get it to ask for a day and time. That's like the biggest thing that helps it know when to read the calendar, is if the bot asks for a day specifically, or says, does this week work for you? Or we've got some times coming up in the next week, what day would work best for you? If you can get the bot to, through your training, get the bot to ask that question first, or a question like that first, when they respond, it usually does a little bit better, especially even if they say anytime is fine, it still does better with like offering the next 4 days versus like not asking, not saying anything at all.
Mhm. Gotcha. Okay. Awesome. Cool. Thank
So-
you so much.
Did have a question real quick, Quentin. This is the only one. Kathleen was asking, she said, I'm now testing the custom tag and it works perfectly. The only concern is that would it be possible if they can just add a tag and not respond? Kind of like the handoff tag, because right now it adds the tag and still responds. So is there like a feature to add that like silent versus respond kind of thing?
Kathleen, is there any reason you can't use the handoff tag? And because we also have handoff and disqualifier, the ones that'll get added with no response, like they won't say anything after they add that tag. All the other custom tags, though, we have it intended to respond. So is there any way you could fit what you don't want? Like, is there, like, why are you trying to have it not respond until a certain point?
What's happening
Right.
is that we have multiple conditions in handoff tag, which is not working right now when we're using the or condition. That's why we would want to separate it with the custom tag, and it will add to
Okay.
add workflow.
We did
Okay.
just today, actually. If you came in late to this meeting, we did actually roll an update to the handoff function today. So
Okay, all right, I'll test that one out.
Yeah, let us know after this change if it gets a little bit more accurate, because yeah, like you said, we changed how we're describing that. So
All right, thank you.
cool. All right. Awesome, guys. Well, we're gonna go ahead and end it there. We're about 7 minutes over and I gotta get going to my next call, but thank you all for coming today. Appreciate it. As always, if you like the product, give us a shout out in the Facebook group. We always really appreciate it. And yeah, we'll see you all next week. And as we add more calls, we'll definitely update it. Bye, everybody.